This is my bone video, the Axial Skeleton. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the cranial bones. This right here is the frontal. You got the parietal right there. You have the occipital, and you have the external occipital protuberance just right there. It's the bony protrusion where the muscle to keep our head upright and allows our head to tilt back and forth. We have the temporal bone there. You have the temporal mandibular joint there. The mastoid process and the stylo process right in there. This is the external acoustic meatus there. And the squamous part right there. You have the pectoralis part of the temporal bones right over here, and this houses our median and internal ear anatomy apparatus for hearing and balance. You also have the internal acoustic meatus, which the facial nerves passes through with the vestibulocochlear nerve and the labyrinthine artery. We have the sphenoid bone right here. Deep inside the eye, you'll see the superior orbital fissure, which passes through cranial nerves 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now inside you can see the lesser wing and the greater wing. The optical canal, in which you have the sella fossa, which is right there, and our pituitary gland sits right there. The upmost is this part right here, and the ridge part right there, that's the crista galli, and that's the anchor point for our meninges. And on each side you have a cribriform plate, and that's where our olfactory passes through. Now for the sutures here, between the frontal and the parietal, the sagittal suture between two of the parietals, the labnoid suture, and the squamous suture, which is there. Okay, we have the maxilla, and we also have the alveolar process, the nasal, the zygomatic here, and the zygomatic arch, and the two bones that make this are the temporal process of the zygomatic bone and the zygomatic bone of the temporal bone. You have the ethmoid, the vomer, and the two bones that form the bony part, which is the perpendicular point of the ethmoid. The inferior nasal concha is in here, and that's one of the terminates from the nose where it humidifies and traps all the dirt, debris that we breathe in. We have the mandible right there, and we have the body right here, the ramus, the angle, the mandibular condyle here, the mandibular notch here, and the coronoid process deeper in here. And now is the vertebral column. We have the cervical vertebrae, which is the first 7, followed by the thoracic, the following 12, And you got the lumbar, there's 5, and you got the sacrum. The atlas, which is right up here, and that bone articulates with the occipital bone, giving us the ability to nod our head yes. In the thoracic, you got the spinner process and the transverse. And then deep inside there, you see the intervertebral foramen. It's where it passes through each spinal nerve. It's deep in there. You got the lumbar and the coccyx. 5 bones fuse to form the coccyx. The sacrum. 5 bones form the sacrum, and then you have the coccyx right there. And in the sternum, we have the manubrium and the body, the xiphoid process, and the jugular notch. And for the ribs, first 7 are true ribs, and then 7 through 12 will be considered the false ribs, and then you have your floating ribs down there. And the head and neck will be in here, and the tubercle, which is in here, like a little notch. The head has 2 articulate. A rib articulates with the vertebrae column at 2 joints, the joints of the head of the ribs and the costal transverse joints. The head of the rib articulates with the sides of the bodies of 2 thoracic vertebrae, and the tubercle articulates with the tip of the transverse process.